So again, my name is Tisha, and I'm a representative of the leadership team for Women Who Submit. I'm here today to introduce you to my Orojo sister, Lijun Alvarado. Lijun and I both straddle two cultures, hablamos dos idiomas, and we embrace the fact that our college diplomas are familial accomplishments. She is the daughter of Puerto Rican migrants, grew up in the Bronx, spent summers in Puerto Rico, studied at Yale and Fordham, now lives in Long Beach with her husband, a Chicano family physician from East LA, and her Mexican toddler. Lijun is the author of the chapbooks Words or Water, a collection of poems about family secrets, memories of the heart, and migration, and New Rico, California, a collection of poems chronicling her move from New York City to Long Beach, California in 2012. A poet and scholar, her work has appeared in Vida Review, Wise Latinas, Writers on Higher Education, the Acentos Review, Asterix, Cura, a literary magazine of art and action, among others. As a Boricua, her works are inevitably political. She has served as the senior poetry editor for Quelly Journal, and is an alumna of Vona Voices Writing Workshop and Orojo. Lijun created her first author website in 2010 and redesigned it in 2015 and again in 2018. That's what she's going to be focusing on today. Earlier this year, she facilitated an online course for her newsletter subscribers, Writing Your 2019 into Existence, a writing roadmap challenge for women and non-binary writers. Lijun's life and work crosses boundaries. Y tiene espacio por tanto amor. Today we are honored to have her as our presenter for a practical guide to the what, why, and how of building or strategically updating your author website. Please give a warm round of welcome to Lijun.
Right on time. Good. I don't know why it went. Okay. Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming. Take a minute. Oh wait, before we do that, if you have your smartphone or your computer handy, actually take it out. Have it handy. We're going to look at some things on our smartphones, so have that handy if you have it. You can flip it over so the notifications aren't bugging you the whole time, but just have it handy so you're not digging for it later on. And then take a minute, and on the blue post-it that's in front of you, go ahead and answer that question. Whatever comes to mind, you don't have to overthink it. First thought, best thought. What's your biggest challenge or stumbling block when it comes to creating and or maintaining your author website? I will be collecting these. So if that changes, you know.
This is real serious.
How you respond.
These are going to be collected and graded.
They will be collected and graded. If you want to keep your answer for yourself, just jot it down on your own notebook.
Did you ask thinking about the
In a few seconds, what's your biggest challenge? But I'll also answer questions based on kind of what your needs are, so that you have them, okay? Just wanted to clarify that. Okay. Hi, who am I? I'm a poet, a scholar, a parent, and I'm committed to amplifying Puerto Rican and underrepresented voices while supporting aspiring and emerging writers through my writing, teaching, and advocacy. This workshop aligns beautifully with that kind of personal mission that I created, because I think having a website is one of the pieces in the puzzle of amplifying your own voice and having people find your work and connect with your work. So I'm really excited about teaching this. Like Tisha mentioned, I published my first author website in 2010 and then redesigned it in 2015 and again in 2018. I am not a web designer. I'm a writer, and I understand what writers need. They need time to write, money to buy time to write, and ways to get writing out in the world and into the hands of the right people. I know that we don't have necessarily, or we are not necessarily interested in investing the time and money to become professional website designers. That's not where we want to spend our time and money. So that's the approach that I'm taking in talking to you. I'm really in a DIY zone. If you're in a position to hire out, that might be the route that you want to go, but that's not what I'll be talking about today. I'm talking really DIY. How do we create and maintain our own online presence? Before I get into the presentation, I just want to tell a story why I got really into author websites. Like, like an earworm. Last April, I decided on my Facebook author page to honor my poet friends because it's National Poetry Month, and post videos of them reading their work, and underneath in the comments I would post their author website. Well, as I was posting my friends, I kept finding friends who didn't have websites. And this confused me because some of them were what I considered further along than I was. And I was like, this feels, so then I started thinking, there must be some sort of stumbling block in terms of doing this. So I got really interested, started doing research, started thinking about the evolution of my own website, and decided to do another redesign in 2018, really strategically. And I was like, I think I could teach this. I think I could teach a kind of holistic way for writers to DIY at whatever stage they are in their writing lives. So this is thank God for the Wayback Machine, right? This is a snapshot from the Wayback Machine. This is what one of the earliest iterations of my website looked like. I didn't take the picture myself back in the day. I didn't know in advance that I would want that, so I'm really grateful that it exists in the world. I just want to point out a few things that are mortifying to me now, but just to show you that you are where you are, you start where you are, and then you have time to evolve and grow. This picture, I have red eye. It's kind of a blurry picture, but I thought my hair looked cute, so it became my author profile picture. Like people are going to tell you have to have a professional headshot. You don't. You really don't. I prefer the pictures on my website now, but even that, my husband took this picture of me. That's not a professional shot. This was a professional photographer, but it wasn't a professional shoot. He just happened to be at a reading, and I was like, can I please use your picture? And he said yes. So this is my current website. It looks very different. Anyway. So the first thing is that your website today is not the website you're going to have 10 years from now. It's going to evolve. So you can take a shitty first draft approach to your website. Thank you, Anna Lama. Okay, why do you need a website? Lightning round. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to answer this question. Do this in your notebook or somewhere else. I do not collect these. These are for you. Okay? 30 seconds. Ready? Number one, why do you write? I know, loaded. Whatever comes to mind. Why do you write? For whom do you write? These can bleed into each other, that's fine. Form a little narrative. For whom do you write? How, if they want to, can your readers find your work? How, if they want to, can your readers find your work? How, if they want to, can your readers connect with you? How, if they want to, can readers connect with you personally? That's one. Who tells your author story? Who tells
Where can people
And
find?
where can people find your work?
On my website.
On your website. Great. Okay, social media. Anywhere else?
I just think my blog, but which has my website or links to like works.
Yeah.
And some of those works like include searches or
Right, so on your blog, but if they're not published online, in lit journals, right? In journals, in anthologies. Okay, so kind of different places. How do people connect with you? On your website? Okay, great. You have a contact page. Awesome. How else? Twitter. Twitter's huge for connecting. Other social media, Facebook, Instagram. Okay, good. Who tells your author story? What came up for you in response to that question?
Question mark?
Me? Question mark? Me? Question mark?
Some of my women who submit, like, colleagues.
My colleagues, my cheerleaders, the people who talk through, there are seats up here. So go ahead, come in, don't be shy.
My mom.
My mom.
My mom
Is she
doesn't tell anybody who she talks
Is she
to.
doing a good job?
No, she tells things wrong.
You approve of her.
She tries
her
her hard, but she
retelling.
tells things wrong.
Okay, good. So since you're all here, I have a sense that you're already bought in that you need an author website. I'm just going to run through a couple of reasons, some of which you probably already know, some which you might not have thought about quite in the way that I'm going to go through, and they're related to these 5 questions. So reason number 1, you know all those publications you'll have with all this submitting you're doing, right? You're submitting, you're here with women who submit, so you'll be submitting work, and after all those rejections, you put in the rejection brag every month on the Facebook group, you'll have some publications. And you know what you need to do with those publications? You need to drop your URL in those bios. You need a website because you need to have a place to send people when they find your poem in that physical lit journal and they want to know more about you. You want to have a URL in those at the end of every bio. And what are you going to put them? Are you going to say, follow me at Twitter, or are you going to say, LeeJuneAlvarado.com? Reason number 2, you don't control social media platforms, okay? You don't control how they look, how they feel. You don't control their functionality because you know Facebook changes the algorithm and how everything looks every 6 months, and you're pissed about it, and then you forgot how the old way anyway. But you don't control any of that. You don't control the relevance, right? Which is the hot platform, which is one of, right? So you don't control the relevance or even its existence. You don't know how long these places are gonna exist. You guys remember Friendster? Yeah. That's not where people are finding your works, right? Or connecting with you anymore. But at one point in time, people thought that was the thing. Google yourself. Go ahead. Told you needed your smartphones or your computers. Google your name. What are the top 5 hits? What are the hits above the fold? Here, I'll play along. Oh, look at that! Top hit.
How do you do that?
Well, I have an unfair advantage, okay? My name is Lee June Alvarado. There are not, there's not a lot of people with my name rolling around, right? If your name is Jane Smith, you are going to have a harder time landing the top spot on Google. But,
So 1 second.
yes.
There is a free Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
so it's the
Oh, I'm
LA
so sorry.
Public Library, I think, and it's the open one.
Yeah.
And you just have to,
Do an accept.
Yes, so get on the free Wi-Fi. That being said, despite my unfair advantage, that wasn't the top hit the day I hit publish on my website. This is after 10 years of being online, right? And I think it happened sooner than that because my name is, not that common. But ask yourself, who tells your Google story? Right? So, was the top hit a publication? That's great. But is that the first story? Was your top hit your Twitter account? That might be great too, but is that what you want people to find if they Google you? If they found something you wrote and you couldn't put your URL, and they say, oh, I really liked that. What more have they written? And they Google you. Do you like the first thing that comes up? Do you like what they're going to find when they Google your name? And if not, you have some control over that if you start curating your place online. Reason 4A, your readers, fans, editors, educators, publishers want to find you and your work. So what I've decided to do recently with my website is I have a publications page, and I realized if people are coming looking for my work, they probably want to read more of it. So instead of listing all of my publications, first the book, right, of course, but I go straight to online publications. So right there, I fulfill the need of the reader, right? I really think about what is the reader looking for if they're coming to my website, and it's probably to read more work. So I have a list of my publications all linked up, and then if you continue, oh, and a pop-up. If you continue to scroll to the bottom, they can find all of my publications there, right? And so this has some things that are published in real life, but you can't get online. That was my approach, but the point there is people want to find more of your work, so make that easy for them, right? All in one place. If you have a Facebook account, they can come to your Facebook page, but they have to search through your shares to find more of your not user-friendly. They're not going to dig through your Facebook account to find other poems. If you have it all in one place, they can read more of your work and see, if they're interested in you. And I did, for B, your readers, fans, editors, publishers want to get in touch with you. And I swear I did not plan this, but here's the email I received on February 4th. I had just published some poems in an online lit journal called Raising Mothers and did, the social media blitz. I would Twitter, Instagram, Facebook sharing, it's all over. And an editor from Literary Mama contacted me on a forum on my website to say, hey, I really liked this poem on that other lit journal, send me some stuff, which I will be doing today. Okay? You need a website. Reason number 5, in 2019, real writers have websites. That's just it. You can do a different approach. That is your right. But you want to also live within the context that you live in, and in the context that we're living in, real writers have websites. Unless you are mega famous and are known to be a hermit and other machines are moving to get your work. And if you care about your readers reading your stuff, real writers have websites. And you're at Women Submit, so I already know you're a real writer. This is a self-selecting group. I know you're legit. I know you're doing the work, and you're doing probably one of the hardest pieces of the work, which is putting it out there and crossing your fingers. And so I already know you're doing the work. You are a writer. So you need a website. Simple as that. Now, a side note, imposter syndrome. You know that thing in which an individual doubts their accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud? That whole little part of you that's saying, no, I'm not a real writer. And I only bring this up because in anticipation of this workshop, I did a very informal Facebook poll on my author Facebook and was like, why don't you have a website? Or what, and if you do, tell me a little bit about that. And it was a very informal poll, and I said, pick from these options. And the highest picked one, by not a lot, right? It wasn't a lot of people participating, but the highest picked one, I don't know if you can read it up there, I'm not established enough to justify having a website. That was 13 as opposed to 5 or 3, it was significantly more. So I realized, oh wow, imposter syndrome is part of what's happening here. So if there's any part of you that's I'm really not that big, I have one little poem. You're a writer. That one little poem is gonna turn into 25 or whatever. You don't want to wait until your book deal to have a website. Then it's too late. You want to have established that online presence so that you're giving that book baby, the best chance it has in the world, right? So, repeat after me. I am a writer.
I am a writer.
So,
I need a website.
okay. Got that out of the way. We need one. I hope you're on board with me. I hope you agree that those 5 reasons are enough. There are so many more, but we'll start there. What is an author website? It's your online home. You own it, you don't rent. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you are renting space. They get to make all the decisions. You really don't have, you have some control over your content and how you put it out, but the control is limited, okay? 2, it's a place, oh, sorry, I know some of you are trying to take notes. In exchange for your email, you'll have access to the whole slideshow. So you don't have to busily, ferociously take notes moving forward, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff that you might want notes on, and I'll tell you how you can get the whole slideshow at the end of the presentation. Okay. It's a place you get to design and decorate to reflect your taste and personality. Again, Facebook Blue is Facebook Blue, right? These are my website colors. This matches up perfectly with my website. I figured out what the number is. You know those funny numbers for colors? What are they called? RGB. Yeah, so I know the number and I use it on all my stuff, right? And I can do that. I can decorate my website to fit my personality so readers are like, oh yeah, I like her stuff and I like her style. Or I don't, and guess what? Then you know my audience, you know my reader. Thank you. You just saved me some time. I'm not trying to convince people to love me. They either do or they don't. And I'm just trying to present my author story as authentically and as true to myself as possible. It's a place where you can feature your work and your crafted author story, right? So you get to craft your own author story. And you know, when your mom's rattling off her version, you say, Mom, you should send people to TishaWrigley.com. Okay? You're gonna get the real deal over there. And it's a place where your readers can easily connect with you and your work to the extent you decide, right? You might not want people emailing you, but there are ways around. You might want people to connect with you really on Facebook, and that's where you want to do the social part, but you can use your website to launch them to those places. You have a lot of choice. Based on what your kind of goals are and what you want. Okay, how can you build an author website based on your needs and your budget? How are we doing? Yay, we're kind of on time. I can slow down. Okay, again, you will have access to this in exchange for your email. You can unsubscribe at any time, but these are some of the questions you want to think about in terms of how really structurally, you know, the logistics. Like I said, I'm not a web designer. I do have a bias. I'm going to tell you my bias. But these are some of the questions you have to go through in deciding if you want to keep the platform you're on or change or where you want to create your, right? So what's my budget? How comfortable am I with technology? How much time do I want to spend learning new technology, maintaining my site, making big updates? Do I want to own a home or a condo? I'll get into that analogy in a minute. Do I want to take care of maintenance and security myself? Or do I want complete control? What are my aesthetics? Squarespace sites are known for being really visually appealing, but I read somewhere in some of my research that the downside of that is if you don't have really nice photographs, like really professional looking photographs, they clash with the niceness of the site. So that's something to keep in mind. If your photos aren't like glossy like Squarespace's platform, it actually might backfire. I had never thought of that, and I read it, I was like, oh yeah. Okay, what are my long-term goals? Will I eventually want to sell books directly on my site? So if that's something, if you're kind of independent author-minded, you want to know that your platform can handle sales, right, in some capacity. Do I want the ability to easily move my site contents down the line? Some platforms are easier to move around your content, some you really kind of are a little bit more locked in. So those are questions to consider. Okay, this is the condo house issue. So we have Weebly, which is the platform that I use and I'm going to recommend, and I'll explain why, for starter websites. And then you have WordPress.org, not WordPress.com. These are, I don't want to get too bogged down into these technical things, but with WordPress.org, what you're doing, it's like owning a house. You can do anything you want. You can add whatever plugins you want. It's an open source platform. Everyone in the world creates things that can kind of match up with WordPress themes, and it gives you complete flexibility and control. Designers and coders love this because they can really do some cool things with a WordPress. But this is really for people who love tech. It's a steep learning curve. It can be a steep learning curve. There are some templates out there that make it a lot easier, and I think WordPress.org templates have come a long way to make it a little bit more like the drag and drop, which is the other side. But it's an investment in time. So that's something you'll have to invest time to get this. So there's no rules or limitations, but you have to take care of everything or hire someone to take care of it. It's also as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. So take care of everything. That means hosting. Hosting is that thing they do to make sure that when people come to your website exists in the interwebs. Security, to make sure there's no hacks. Any updates. Technology's updating all the time. You have to be on top of all of those issues if you go with WordPress.org, or you hire some hosting services, have a lot of other maintenance things that they'll take on for you. But that's kind of what you're going with if you go WordPress.org. I just had a leaky roof, and as a homeowner, it's bad enough living through a leaky roof situation, let alone having to coordinate all of the repairs and fighting with insurance and da-da-da. So in my homeowner life, I'm like, I don't want to do that with my website life. Like, I have enough going on by being a homeowner. I want to keep it a little more simple. So that is Weebly, Squarespace, Wix, WordPress.com. These are like buying a condominium. You own everything inside your condo. You can do whatever you want inside. The condo association takes care of the water, electricity, security, structural issues. So Weebly, I don't think about hacking. I don't think about updates. When whether your website is mobile responsive or not was a thing, like, I didn't think about it. Weebly did it. My website went from being mostly desktop to either or. So that's not something I had to stress about. So they even have furnished unit options, so those are your templates. However, you also have to abide by condo association rules. You are limited by their structure, and you have to pay extra HOA fees. So there are some real limitations to Weebly. Moving a Weebly blog, I've just started blogging, will be a nightmare. If I ever decide to move platforms, or Weebly goes belly up and I have to move platforms, it's not going to be a quick situation. The way I've dealt with that is by creating all of my content on Evernote prior and then moving it to Weebly, so I have a database of my content. So if I have to start again on some other platform, instead of trying to move what I had, I can just start again and just slowly move things. That's how I've dealt with that reality. But it is a reality, and you should know that going in. It's going to be a lot easier to build your website here. It's a lot easier to move your website here. Does that make sense? All like authorpreneur types, the indie author crowd, they're WordPress.org all the way, because they are about monetizing. They really have the beat on the pulse of independence and freedom, so they are more attracted to the WordPress.org. There are pros and cons. I can't decide for you. You really have to decide yourself. But I just wanted to share. These are one of the big questions. And once you get over that hump, just pick one and go with it, because your site is going to change so much as your career develops that you might change sites, and it's fine. It's not going to be that's not going to be, you can't like, oh my God, I made that wrong choice 10 years ago. Who cares? Like, technology is going to change. There's no way to know what the future will bring. So pick one that works for you and go with it. This makes the similar point about condo versus home ownership. Okay, so I recommend Weebly. I have a review. On the junealvarado.com resources Weebly, I've used it forever, and I have, it's been really easy to update, really easy to keep up. I'm gonna do a short demo so you can see how it works. But that's my recommendation. Nate Shivar has a longer review, including some of the cons. And he also has this cool quiz that might tell you based on some things that you care about, which works. And then here are a bunch of other ones. Now, if you go to lejunealvarado.com/you need a website, all of these links will be live there, so you can go to them directly, okay? And I'll repeat that at the end. But I made that available here. This part of the presentation is all on my website, so you can click on these links for
You're
yourself.
awesome.
Okay? What? Oh yeah.
Said you're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. That's what we're here for. Okay. So, let's actually talk more about what do you include in your website. Here's the great news. Your first author website only has to be a page long. And I know you're like, yeah, right, no. That's it. The only things you need on your website are your name, your bio, and your publications. If there are some online publications, have the links. Those are the 3 things you need on your author website. That's it. Your name, because really as an author, your name is your brand. That's super important. Your bio, because when people come looking, they want to know a little about you, and then your publications for obvious reasons. That's all you absolutely need. So if that's all you need and you don't have an author website, you could leave here today if you decided to do author website instead of submitting. Not that you should do that, but I'm just saying, you can go tomorrow and have an author website. Right? Yeah. Shitty first draft, people. We're not talking about the website you have when you're a Pulitzer Prize winning author. We're talking about your first author website. That's all you need. I would highly recommend a photo. And if you have a social media presence, that you feel like that's where you've been really doing your author life stuff, then having access to that so people can connect with you would be the other things I would recommend. And look, don't write all of this down. I have this for you without an email. You don't have to give me your email to get this. So I'll give this to you later, but I don't want you to get distracted by the other columns just yet. Okay, and if you think I'm crazy, this is my homegirl, Liz Huerta. This is her author website. Name, photo, bio, publications. That's it.
Nice.
Twitter and email. That's it. That's her author website. That's all she needs. Everything a reader would want is there. They can read her work. They can contact her representation if they need to. They can contact her directly on Twitter or by emailing her. That's all you need. So what are you waiting for, those of you who don't have one? You have no excuse. Question?
My question is going to be, does my face have to be that big on my
No.
website?
No, it's your website. It's your aesthetic. You don't even need a photo. You notice that in my list. You don't have to have a photo. Some people are. Okay. But obviously we know that most author websites have a little more going on than just that. So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas of things that can happen, again, over time. As these parts of your career or website develop, you might develop these parts of your website. So, as opposed to one page, your website might grow into multiple pages. You'll have a home or about page, a publications page, an events readings page, a dedicated contact page, and you will have a privacy policy. And this might seem a little kind of in the weeds, but actually, legally, if you collect any information about anyone coming to your website, you should have a privacy policy. It's kind of what's required. Weebly has a free privacy policy generator. So you just put in the name of your website and they give you a privacy policy that you can copy and paste and put on your website. So one of the reasons I really love them. This has become really a big deal because in Europe, this is kind of getting in the weeds, but in Europe they just did some really intense privacy laws and you can't email people unless they opt in. So And part of that is making sure, now, you know how now all websites are like, we use cookies, by the way, and they didn't used to do that. That's because Europe changed their privacy laws. California is next in changing their privacy laws, or has already, and is much stricter than the rest of the country. So these are things you want to kind of sort of keep tabs on. And privacy policy, I don't put it here because here you're not collecting information, you're giving information. But if you have a dedicated contact page, so that email I got on the contact page from that editor, that was a contact page. So Weebly collected her email address, right? I have her email address. She didn't send me an email directly, she sent it through Weebly. So I have a privacy policy on my page. Okay, so once you grow, these are things you think about. Once you're not just giving information, you're starting to take information, you need to have that set up properly. Additional pages based on your goals. Yes?
Sorry, the question was, for the privacy policy, Weebly collects it, or is it a database that you collect through Weebly?
Either way, so both. It depends on what's going on. So in that example where the editor contacted me, that was a Weebly form, so Weebly was collecting that as well as giving it to me, right? But if I put a form, which I have, you saw the pop-up, right? When I went on my website, there was a pop-up. I collect emails, so I'm collecting them. So I have to have a privacy policy because even though I'm collecting them and Weebly never sees them, I have to let people know what I do with information. Yes?
Along those lines, with WordPressorg, do they have the same kind of privacy policy that you post, or can you post a policy from somewhere else, essentially saying that these are the things that you're
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
And actually with my privacy policy and terms of service, I actually, the privacy policy I got from Weebly because I'm using their platform, so I just used the one they use, and that read pretty accurate to me. And then I bought a terms of service from a lawyer to add. So that's in the advanced tools, but that's an advanced step. So there are resources out there, but yeah, I don't know what WordPress.com has, if they have one. People copy and paste each other's all the time. It's not, it's frowned upon because it's not, and again, you're not a lawyer, so I'm not going to tell you, yes, do this or that. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, but you can kind of shop around and see what people's privacy policies look like. It's a bunch of legalese, and I can't tell you what your privacy policy should or shouldn't look like. Okay, other pages based on your goals. Blog. I didn't start blogging until this year. I've had my website for 10 years. Everyone tells you have to blog because you have to have new stuff on your website. And that's true for traffic, and there are reasons that are positive to have a blog. But if you don't like blogging, and you need to spend your time writing your magnus opus, don't blog. If it's not for you, it's not for you. I have a kid. I don't have time to write books. I have time to write blog posts. That's the reality I'm in, so that's what I'm doing right now. Don't feel like that's mandatory, it's not. You might have a resources page. I have a resource page now because of what my goals are. So I'm sharing a lot of resources that I use with writers, and it's a way I've decided to monetize my site. So I get commissions if anyone buys through my links. I only share things that I care about, so I feel good about that. You might have a testimonials page. You might have a frequently asked questions page. If you're teaching and doing workshops in addition to writing, you might have things like a courses page, a media kit, a sales page. There's all these different, I can't believe I didn't put teaching in, because I feel like a lot of us teach or workshop or want people to invite us to their campus, right? So that might be its own page. Things to think about. And one thing that I did when I redesigned my page this year was think about what is each page doing? Not for me, for my readers and my visitors. And what do I want my visitors to do on each page? So you want to think, what's the call to action on each page? I want them to read my works on this page. I want them to find the resources that are useful to them on this page. I want them to come to my event or reading on this page. And if there's stuff there that it's not clear what you want them to do, then you want to rethink whether that needs to be one of your primary pages or if that gets buried kind of deeper in the structure of your website. Make sense? Okay, advanced tools and concerns. Again, based on your goals, you'll tackle these over time. So branding, colors, fonts, logos, tagline. I didn't know my brand colors till this year because my brand's colors. I used the Weebly template. I liked the color. I didn't know what the number for that color was. So now everything I make matches my website. But that was very recent. But that's something that will become interesting. I feel like a lot of people start there and think that's the most important thing. No, the most important thing is this. Okay? Down the line, you can think about, oh, what's the color? You know, you can play with colors, but like really starting to understand fonts and colors, and that can come later. It's not a big deal. You want to get your web presence established so you can rank high on Google. Like, take those steps. Email list building, getting people on your email list so you can communicate with people who are interested in the work you're doing, whether that's, in my case, like doing workshops like this, or reading my books. Both are part of my strategy, but, right, so building an email list comes later. That's, I feel like, a more advanced thing because there's a lot of moving parts there. SEO, I still haven't figured it out, but I have to, it's websites, I gotta mention it. I haven't figured it out. I do the best I can. Weebly has a couple of tools that help with that. And, you know, I can talk more about what I know, but it's not very much and it's not necessarily the best info, but it's something that is an area where I plan to learn more and grow. The one SEO trick I will tell everyone is make sure you put alternate text on all of your photos. So when you have a photo, make sure to describe what the photo is of so that the website crawlers know what your photo is. They don't just say photo. Yes?
Also, that's important for accessibility for a website.
Absolutely.
People who are using screen readers and maybe have visual disabilities or need the photo they use the alt text that is a description of the photo.
It allows them to engage fully with your website that way because they know what's on your website. Thank you for that. Google Analytics, Facebook Pixel, this is, again, the privacy policy issue. All of a sudden, you're not only collecting, and Weebly's not only collecting, but Google's collecting information, and Facebook is collecting information, and I hate to break it to you, but they definitely are. If you didn't know the Russians were watching, this is happening. So that's an advanced strategy, but those are things that tie directly with having a privacy policy. And also terms of service, disclosures, disclaimers. So a disclaimer that I have on the actual blog post, but also in my terms of service, is I wrote this like blog post series on breastfeeding, and I put everywhere. I am not a medical professional. Like, this is my experience, this is what I learned, this is to inspire you to get the help you need. Like, this is not medical advice, right? So things like that might come up for you. Disclosure, disclosing all of my my affiliate links, so links where I might get a commission if you buy with my link. Terms of service, this is if you use the website, this is, you know, you're 18, you're I don't know, a bunch of legal stuff. So those are more advanced things, but those things come up over time. So hopefully this part hasn't intimidated you, but excites you for the potential of where your website can go. You might just be here, and that's better than someone who's here wondering if you have a website, right? Okay, and if you're here, but you're about to jump on this, like, pat yourself on the back. This took me 10 years to be able to articulate it as clearly as I hope I have, the things that are going on in my website's universe, right? So don't feel like I'm behind. You're not. You're where you are. Okay? I'm just going to give a little plug, and this is on that sheet too, but I am going to go over some of this in an online course this spring, and, you know, basically the first unit is this, you need a website, getting clear and getting organized. I really am trying to design a course that is about, based on your goals and your budget. So what we'll do at the beginning is really articulate those things. What are your goals as a writer, and then how can I design with that in mind? How to connect with my readers based on what I'm trying to do with my writing career. The first author website, planning for growth. Oh, you know what, I jumped ahead. I was gonna do the demo, but I'll just do it at the end. It's fine. Plan for growth, that's kind of that middle column, and then really going page by page, talking about what things are good to think about on each of your pages and looking at advanced tools. Well, actually, you can go to lejunealvarado.com, and if you go into resources, Weebly's the third one here. And if you clicked on Weebly, right, it'll say get started, and you get started, but I'm already logged in, so it would be like, oh, create your account, all the stuff you do for creating an account. So I did this mock account, and it's called Lola la Escritora. Oh, I forgot one more thing I needed to open up. Sorry, give me 1 second. Thought I had opened everything I needed. Yes, you use cookies because you have all my information. I get it. How do I log in? Sign up. Come on, come on. Where's my login? Does anybody know? I'm so sorry about this. Oh, you got it. It was the wrong one. Sorry. Okay, so I've created this kind of mock site. And as you see, it's yourauthorwebsite.weebly.com. The nice thing about Weebly is that it has a free site. So really you can get up and running for free if you use their subdomain .weebly.com. Obviously you want yourname.com or some variation. I have a friend who does Samantha Speaks, because sometimes your name isn't available, so you have to get creative. But I would say instead of figuring out the domain stuff, which is like the technical, boring, can be stressful piece, build your free website and then figure out how to register the domain. Weebly allows you to register a domain with them for a cost, but if you prefer to shop around and get your domain at GoDaddy or whatever, you can integrate it with Weebly, that's not a problem. So here we have your author website.weebly.com. You hit edit site. And I went ahead and picked a theme already and used one of their stock photos because photo uploading can be a little crazy. But here is the stock photo, so let's pretend that's the photo of Lola, right? And what I did was I first gathered all of my stuff on an Evernote document. So based on that one-page model, I have my name, Lola la Escritora. So I went ahead and put that in here. I could put it here, or I could turn this off and just put it here. So to me, these are just like design options, right? And then I just go down the list. Okay, your bio. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna go over here to Weebly, and I'm gonna go to the drag and drop editor. Right, they have all these different things that you can drag and drop in there. And I'm gonna just put my bio in regular text and hit paste. And there it is. Lola has the same bio as I do.
And the word to water is a link, Vision?
So it is. So I dragged it from here and the link works. I'm gonna show you how to link on Weebly, but to see what the link is, you click on it and it says change or remove. And when you hit change, it gives you the option of opening it in a new window or opening it within. So the nice thing about that is that sometimes if you're having people move within your website, you don't want new windows popping up, right? Because they're in your universe. But when you're sending them outside, you want them to open a new window because you want them to still have access to your website without having to hit the back button. So that's a choice built right in. Okay, so I'm gonna keep building. First my bio. I'm gonna put a little divider to make it really clean. I'm gonna put a title and I'm gonna put poetry. all caps, or not? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, all caps. That's how
Sure.
it's designed. Okay. Text. Let's go over here. My publication with links. See, here I have it where in Evernote I didn't do the links, so I'm going to show you how to do links. So copy, paste, and then you can just edit here, right? So that's forthcoming, that it doesn't have a link. This is, I imagine him small. I cut, I highlight, I imagine him small, I hit the link button, I say I'm linking, so Weebly allows you to connect right to another page, that's standard page in your website without having to copy the URL. It like does it directly, which is nice, or to blog posts, whatever. So website URL, paste. I do want it to open in a new window because this is a website outside of my universe. That's it, done, okay. Oh no, that's wrong. I don't want all of them highlighted. Let's do it again. Just highlight the part I want. All right, that's that. So that takes time, right? These little things are gonna take time, but it's not onerous, it's not difficult. You just have to set aside time to do this link by link. Okay. All right, I'm not gonna do all of these, but that just gives you a sense, and then you can delete that.
Nice.
That's it. So you would do that for all of your poems. Okay. What else do I need to include? My photos up there. Oh, and I need my social media links. So let me make sure to include those. Let's put another divider here. And look at that. Social icons. Oh, that's helpful. Thanks, Weebly. Okay, manage icons. I have a Facebook, www.facebook.com. June Alvarado. Okay. So I only have a Facebook. So let's change these. I don't have Twitter. Let's pretend I do have all of these. I don't want people looking for me in these other Facebooks. That's it. I
Would you
can.
put your email?
Yeah. I can reorder them, right? If I want to put the email first. Okay, done. Okay, I have a website. So I have a completed version, right? If I had done all of and this is a little bit different with the font and everything because you can play around with that, right? Like you can do the colors, you can make it bigger, smaller, bold. All of that is there. You can play around. So what you do, okay, this screen isn't showing it because of how it is, but there's a button. Okay, I can't get it, but all the way on the right, there's a button where you hit, and it's publish. And then when you go to, what is it called? Your author website. Here's the publish. This one isn't published because I haven't hit published, right? What I just did, it doesn't appear on the web until I hit published. All those new changes, they don't appear until I tell them to appear. Okay? So this is the one I had done before I came, and it's done there. So there it is. Now here's another cool thing you can do with Weebly. You can say, well, I don't know if I like this theme. I can change the colors. They have a couple of color changes. Sometimes it pops up, sometimes it doesn't. But you can completely change the theme. I thought this one was good for a one-pager. But there's other themes that might fit your personality a little And all of the stuff I've done would migrate automatically to the theme, which is kind of cool.
Can we
It's taking a minute, but
see if people have questions?
yeah, let's do that.
So we have a couple minutes for questions. If anybody has questions for you.
Yes.
I'm wondering your opinion on, you briefly mentioned like if you were a teacher and had workshops and stuff, but what if you're even more like you have multiple businesses, like what do you think about your, maybe like one website with different branches or different websites?
Yeah.
Like if I have a business as a teacher and then also the other things I do.
Yeah, I think that is really, there's no easy answer, right? So it really depends, again, on your goals. Do you want those to be separate? Do you want your clients who hire you to teach to know about your writing life? Like, for some people, that's an obvious no. I don't want those related. Does your business have a separate name than you? Like, I feel like authors, your name is your business, and your website should be yourname.com. In general, some people might think, you don't want to do it yourbooksname.com because you're going to write more books, right? Like, you want to own your name. If you have a business that has its own name, it might make sense to have a separate website for that business. And you could always link from your author website to that business and vice versa if you want them to talk to each other but be separate entities. So that really depends on what goals you have for your, I don't know what this is about. Trust me, you can change themes and see what they do.
I had a similar question in the beginning. I have a creative website that has blog and my video work and my dance work, and I do a lot of stuff as a storyteller. And I was wondering, like, should the author site be different? And I'm sensing for myself that yes, it should be separate.
Okay. Yeah, you have to decide, but that could be a beautifully like creative website about your creative work in these different modes, and that could work as a one unified thing. Like, this is who I am. I am this multi-passionate creative, right? And so you have to decide what your goals are for the separate things and how much you want them to talk to each other or be, and you want to think about your user experience. Who do you want coming where? Like, are you imagining completely different audiences? Then it might be worth having separate sites. And that's another kind of cool thing. Yeah, forget it. Here in Weebly, I have multiple sites, right? So I have Lola La Escritora is a free site. I have LegionAlvarado.com, which is a paid. I've upgraded to some paid features, but even when you can still have a free site and only pay for your domain name, which is actually what I did until this fall. This fall was when but when you have that,